Keep it real.
I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought
I have no complaints, my man. How you doing out there in Big D?
I'm good, man. Everything is good. Just trying to stay safe. You know how that is.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you, man. I hear you.
I'm
You stand out of
trying to
trouble.
get, yeah, man. You can't do but so much. That's for sure. So that's why I'm putting all my emphasis on these camps and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I'm in an area where I've got a elementary school about 300 yards from here, middle school that's a mile down the road. That's where I'm gonna do my camp probably, and a high school that's about 3 miles away.
Right.
So last summer, man, I noticed that a lot of kids were playing outside more because, a lot of stuff was shut down due to the virus. So I thought to myself, I was like, wow, man, these kids are gonna really want to get out there this summer,
Exactly.
So
Yeah. I hear you, boy. You monetizing.
yeah, man, I see all these kids in the area, in the neighborhood, and then I had a meeting the other day at the school with a lady that showed me the facilities and everything. It's a brand new school. They got 2 gyms in there. I was like, yeah, I got to do this. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money walking around here, man. These kids, parents want to get their kids involved with stuff, get them out of the house and all that. So I said, yeah, I got to do this.
Yeah, go get it, man. But there's a lot of people out there that's running camps, man, that's really not qualified to run camps. So
well, that's true. That's true too. You got a lot of camps, and like you said, a lot of them are not qualified. And my wrinkle is I'm trying to keep it out in this area where it's away from. It's not like it's downtown Dallas or anything, because there's enough kids in my neighborhood alone.
Right.
And I'm talking about like a 5-mile radius where you can get 100 kids easily.
Right.
Plus, it's money. You got to have money. Parents got to have money to be able to send the kids. Plus, the angle I'm coming with them is, I'm bringing in former NBA players, former WNBA players to come in and do this. So it's something different that's coming right to their backyard. It's not like they got to travel a lot. It's not like they got to stay overnight, stuff like that. So it's right here on them.
Right.
So.
And that's interesting. That's what I want to talk to you about, man. You being a former NBA player. The whole conversation right now is, the trade with James Harden going to the Brooklyn and the whole Kyrie issue. But usually the people that's talking about it, are people that never played on a high level or never coached on a high level. Most of your talking heads on television, radio, podcasts, all this kind of stuff are people who really are just really fans. So they don't have the whole inside feel of it and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I would just ask you, man, what's your take on that? If you were, let's say, the head coach or the general manager, would you have made that trade and why?
Well, I think if you Houston, look, first let me go back a little bit. I feel sorry for Stephen Silas because it's a young black coach getting his first head coaching opportunity. He's been in the league a long time as an assistant, and he was in Charlotte for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel sorry that he had to come into that situation because you were a head coach. And now you know that when you got all these distractions going on with your best player, it distracts from everything that you're trying to do as a coach.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I know my best practices are when I can go to the gym and worry about the whole team rather than worry about if one player showed up or if one player is angry or whatever, It's always easier. So I feel sorry for Stephen Silas from that standpoint. But Houston had to make this trade.
Right.
Because obviously Harden, he doesn't want to be there.
Exactly.
And I know for me, I don't want any player to play for me who doesn't want to be there because I know he's going to eventually spew all that anger and viciousness to the rest of the team, and then now you got division among the team.
Exactly.
So Houston had to get rid of him. And Houston got to, they're at fault because I go back 3-4 years ago when they were talking about all this analytics stuff with Daryl Morey and all those guys. They're telling me that analytics told you can win by playing the way that you've been playing with James Harden. Isolation ball, dribble 25 times, let him score 40, and then everybody else standing around watching. No, I've never seen that win anywhere on any level. Well, it might work at a younger level because your best players usually,
Right,
dominates.
exactly.
Yeah, when you're a kid and you playing AAU stuff, maybe you can get away with it then. But at a pro level, no. So Houston has to blame themselves for that. And then, but I do think they had to make this trade. If I'm Brooklyn, I probably would make the trade as well, just from the standpoint of you feel like you're close and you want to, try to get over the top. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, though, with all three of those particular three guys.
Because now it goes back to not having one ball dominant player, but two ball dominant players on the same team.
That's right.
and then your third guy, which is arguably one of the top three best players in the world right now, right? Yeah. What the heck is he gonna do? He just, I don't know. I just think maybe there's more to it. I thought about it maybe as an insurance policy. With Kyrie having this off the court issues.
Right.
You got to have at least two. You got to have two superstars on the team to win.
That's right.
Most teams need three now, but you got to have at least two to even have a chance. So I said, what? Maybe this is insurance policy for Brooklyn.
That's a good point, E, because I think that's what expedited the move. When Kyrie went AWOL this week, they were like, hey, we got to get James Harden in that deal done, because if Kyrie doesn't want to play or if his mind is not there, then they're not going to win with just KD and all those role players around him.
Exactly.
So I think that also did help expedite the deal, this week.
And when you haven't played in the league, we never get the full story of what's really going on. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at everything. I've been a player personnel guy, on a pro level. You have as well. I'm also looking at just how healthy is KD. Because not many guys come back off that Achilles injury. So just how healthy is he? I mean, is he going to be relegated to catch and shoot, that kind of thing, and not having to put the ball on the floor and force the play, force the action? Because when he tried to do that, come back and do that with Golden State, what happened? Yeah. He blew it out again. I mean, so I think there's a lot of little pieces there that the fans probably just don't know about that really caused that trade to happen, like you said, as quickly as it did.
Yeah. And KD, even if he looks good, to be honest with you, looks better than I thought he was coming back off that type of injury. Mm-hmm. But I will say this, though, it's going to be tough for him to go back-to-back early on, and you probably don't want him to go back-to-back too much throughout the season, because you want him to be fresh and healthy for the playoffs. So again, like you just said, I think all that played a factor in them expediting this deal for James Harden to help alleviate that load off of KD. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Now with them bringing that big three together, now you lose another vital piece, I thought, in their fourth best player, who would have been Jared Allen, the big. Because he's a monster rebounder and defender for them and rim protector. And now you lose that. Now I know you got DeAndre Jordan, but to me, you lose Karis LeVert. He's gone now, and Jared Allen, your two, those would have been your fourth and fifth best players. Now your bench is thin all of a sudden. So I still don't know. I have to see them play together, and then I have to see how the bench and everybody else steps up now that's on the roster to see how good they can be, down the road.
And can they defend? And can all three egos, can they all mesh together?
Yep. First thing I would do as a coach, you probably would do the same thing, is I sit all three of them down and say, hey guys, what do y'all think? How do y'all want to do this? Who's going to take the last shot? Or, just kind of get an idea where their mindset is. Because if they're all saying the right things, meaning I don't care who takes the right shot or last shot, or whoever's hot, or I don't have to have the ball this much, that much. If they're saying all those right things, I'm cool.
Right.
But the minute they're not, if there is some type of discrepancy in there, man, then, you know, you got to iron all that stuff out now before you even get started, you know, because otherwise it's going to get worse.
Well, you know, the discrepancy that I see right now is with Kyrie saying that, at least what's reported, you know, allegedly saying that he's furious that he didn't have more input in the hiring of Steve Nash. You know, that just came out yesterday, I think today actually. So I see a problem. I don't care how you slice it, man. I don't care how you slice it. I see a problem.
Well, you remember when they hired Steve Nash, Kyrie was the main one that said, "Hey, we don't really need a coach. We're cool. We're going to coach ourselves." Basically, is kind of how he was saying it, you know. Yeah, but look, we kind of know how Kyrie is now. Brooklyn signed him. They brought him over there. So they signed up for all this, you know. This is who he is. He has shown you kind of who he is. Yeah. So they elected to bring him over there. So I don't feel sorry for Brooklyn. But I do know that if it was me, man, I would rather have a player that was a level or two below Kyrie, but yet who wasn't going to give me any problems, who was going to come to work every night. Exactly. Somebody like a Jaylen Brown from Boston or Malcolm Brogdon. I would take those type players any day over Kyrie and a talented player like him, because you don't know what you're going to get from day to day. E.
Exactly.
And you know, as a coach, man, you're sitting there making your practice plan, and then all of a sudden they're not there that day. They don't tell you. You know, that's a headache. It's a headache. And I'm not saying that they won't win it all. They could. They're talented enough that they could probably win it all. But you dealing with a lot of headaches, man. He brings a lot to the table. That's for sure. Good and bad.
Hey, and let's not forget this now. Now I have a little inside source. You know, coaches hear things other people don't hear. That also says that another problem is James Harden. Number one, James Harden don't like to practice. James Harden, if he's had a long night, he's calling practice off. so you start to put that stuff together, man. You got two nuts, bro. You got two problem childs. Two problem children. You got two problem children, man.
Yeah, you did hear that about Harden, didn't you? Because when he first came out and was saying all the stuff he was saying about wanting to leave and all that, they were saying how Houston gave him carte blanche, basically, to run the show and do what he wanted, practice when you want.
That's correct.
He called all the shots and all that kind of stuff. And see, again, you know, that is a problem for a coach, especially a young two first-year coaches. Think about it, Stephen Silas and Steve Nash, you know. And granted, Nash was a long-time player and Hall of Famer and all that, but, you know, you don't sign up as a coach to have to deal with a lot of this stuff. You just want to go in and do your X's and O's and all that, you know. Now, I guess one caveat to it is that, you know, Mike D'Antoni is Steve's assistant. He coached James Harden down in Houston, so he got along with him well, and he kind of turned everything over to Harden. So maybe Harden will come in and be that guy again for Mike D'Antoni, you know. But like you said too, Harden and Kyrie together, wow, I don't know. If nothing else, it's gonna be box office on the floor, and it's gonna be soap opera off the floor.
No doubt. You know, now let's look at the business side of it now. Now, from a business standpoint, it's a hell of a move because, you know, New York City is the heart of the ball handling point guard. Everybody got handles that come from New York. Even cats that don't have handles, they say they got handles. So you know what's gonna happen, man. The arena gonna be packed every night, coming to watch the one-on-one show.
Yep.
So they're gonna make the money. I mean, they're gonna sell out ticket sales. And I got cats over here already saying as soon as the jerseys go on, they get the jerseys. So for the entertainment purpose, it's a hell of a move. So the owner gonna make his money. He's gonna make his money. But I'm just saying right here now, bro, there ain't gonna be no title. There ain't gonna be no title. I just don't see it, man.
I have to see how they work, and you know, KD went to Golden State and it worked out because you had two guys that were a little unselfish, and Clay and Steph, they stepped back. Somebody's gonna have to take a back seat here, you know. and again, to me, I want to see how that bench plays now, because they're thinner now. They were
Right.
deep before,
Right.
Karis LeVert coming off the bench, and you had Jared Allen was coming off the bench. DeAndre Jordan will start sometime.
Mhm.
The French guy, they call him TLC, Timothy Luwawu Caratho. He coming off the bench. So they got some talent, but it's a lot thinner than it was. And I was telling one of my buddies that I think they're going to have to make another move and bring in probably another point guard. They have a young guy now, but I don't think he's quite ready. Maybe a backup point guard, and then maybe another big at some point, down the road. So if they do that, and I think they're not done yet, they probably have to make some more moves. Just like, now because they made this move, some other teams will probably have to make a move as well, add another piece or two. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, man. But yeah, I don't know. I got to see them play together for a while to see, how they look, because it's going to be interesting.
Now, you brought up something earlier that I actually wanted to touch on. You talked about Steven Silas, being a black coach and, getting his first head coaching job, young black coach. Now correct me if I'm wrong. Now you were is your jersey retired at UNC Wilmington?
It is. Yeah, I was the first one back in the day.
So retired jersey, NBA player, right, in the state of North Carolina, right? I'm gonna just ask you straight out. So why have you taken your coaching act abroad and not coached in the NBA, or not given the opportunity to coach at your school, who get the brakes beat off them on a regular basis over the last several decades, where you, an established, proven international coach and NBA player, has never. Well, I can say never because I don't know. You'll tell me that. But you had to take your show overseas in order to get a head coaching opportunity.
Yeah, I think about it every now and then. Now, I will say this. I initially, it's funny, in school, I majored in phys ed because I said, you know what, I want to coach one day.
Mm-hmm.
When I started playing professionally and saw how the coaching carousel went, I was like, nah, I don't think I want to deal with this, because coaches come and go all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I stopped playing, I wanted to get into the media thing. So I did the sports talk radio. I did the college basketball commentating and all that. I didn't get into the coaching thing until I was around 40. So I got into it late. That's one bad thing right there, because what I tell young kids now is that they always focus on just playing. They want to play. They want to be pro athletes. I'm telling them, chances are you're not going to do that. But you can stay in the game by being in the coaching ranks, in the front office ranks, and stuff, and trainers and stuff like that nowadays, And where white guys getting in over us is that they don't focus on playing. They focus on those other jobs.
Early out.
That's right. They intern when they get in, when they finish college they intern at 22, 23. They get in on some team at the low level at 24, 25 years old, and they work their way up. And then next thing you know, they're a head coach or GM at 30. You see,
that's good stuff.
I started out at 40. Yep. I was thinking, I want to play as long as I can, blah, blah, blah. Then I don't start coaching until 40. So I'm already behind the 8 ball, way behind. Okay. And then that being said, I wanted to be at the pro level because I wanted to just focus on X's and O's. I didn't want to deal with no college recruiting. I didn't care if they went to study hall. I don't care if they're making A, B, C, or D. None of that. I didn't want daddy who has a player on the team, a big alumni, rich alumni, telling me who can play, who needs to be on the team. I didn't want to deal with all the college aspects of sports, And so that's why I always focus on the pro level. Then now I did interview with the Hornets for a G League position back in 2000, I think it was 15. And, I had a good interview with them. And at the time I was coaching in Japan, and they ended up hiring, I believe it was, I can't even remember the guy's name now. I had never heard of him. And so he was there for a year or two. He gets fired. Then they hired Joe Wolf. He gets fired. So I don't know. But I do know this, one thing I've learned as well, and you probably have to deal with this yourself. A lot of coaching staff don't want to bring people like us over to be on their staff because a lot of coaches are insecure.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, if let's say you got a 30, like UNC Wilmington that has a young coach there and a head coach first year, who is like in his early 30s. Does he want me looking over his shoulders every day, seeing what he's doing, knowing that I got more experience, knowing that I've done more than him, knowing that I will know if he's doing the right thing or not? A lot of coaches don't. That's right. A lot of coaches don't want that. Yep. And I'm sure you've had to deal with that, where you're definitely qualified, much more so than somebody else who gets a head job. Right. But the AD may not know that much about this, that, the other, and he hires someone that he's comfortable with.
Somebody he knows.
That's right. And a lot of head coaches don't want assistant coaches looking over their shoulder like, wow, you know what, if I lose 3 or 4, they're gonna let Rowsom come in here because Rowsom was a former player here. He's a internationally winning championship coach. Mm-hmm. I know that, I may not be here long. So they don't want to deal with that. You know? So I'm in that position now where it's really hard to get on like that. And then your age also plays a factor, mid-50s now, Mm-hmm. So a lot of schools want to go younger and a lot of staffs want to be younger and so forth. So I get all that. But if it was me, of course, I would hire whoever was going to have, basketball games and do it the right way, especially at the college level, Yeah. Because, you're dealing with college kids. First thing they want to know is, we're going to be on TV. Do I have a chance to play pro ball? And with our connections, playing pro and all that, knowing who we know and all that, it would be a no-brainer, You
know what? I thought about that, man. And I said the same thing. If I'm an AD, if I'm in an AD position, one of the people I would be looking at is a coach that, number one, can build a program, who's proven that he can build from the ground up. Because, I know just talking to Pat Riley years ago, Pat Riley said that he would never take a job that he didn't have a chance to be successful in. Well, as a black coach, you don't get that chance. Very seldom do you step into a winning program. Yep. And let's be real about it. I mean, exactly. I've coached this is my 26th year, and I was only able to step into a winning program one time, and we won the championship. But when you look at the number of black coaches that's out there, only one that I can recall actually stepped into a winning program, and that was Tubby Smith at Kentucky. Yeah. And he won the national championship the year he stepped in. But most guys, they take with programs that are at the bottom.
That's right.
So if that guy can turn that program around and build and win, to me, that's the best qualified guy. But you're talking about somebody like us who, if you're hiring us, you're hiring a guy who has won all over the world in very diverse environments, right? So he knows how to deal with different types of kids. Also, the type of player he's going to bring with him. Because if you're hiring for a mid-major job, for example, mid-major job is never going to get the dominating post player, because that's the big difference. That's the game changer is the post play, right? Yeah. So a guy like yourself, a guy like me, and so many other guys that we know, we're going to bring that foreign dominating post player, and that changes the whole layout, man. When you got that dominating post player, you got two 6'10", 7-foot guys down there, a guy come off the bench like that. That is the game changer.
It sure is. And we see a lot of raw African big who can play, who are very athletic. Let's put it this way. They're very athletic. Right. Who are young, 6 feet, 9, 10, 11, 7 feet sometimes, block shots, can run all day long, still learning how to play. Well, we know where we can find those a dime a dozen. A lot of schools don't. That's it. And if you surround them with more skilled players that you might have as your guards and wings here, all of a sudden now you're going to win a mid-major conference title. You're going to win just throwing different conferences out there like Colonial, where UNC Wilmington is, or Southern Conference, right? Or some of the other mid-major schools. Yeah, Big South, Horizon League, stuff like
Mhm.
that, Conference USA. You can win that conference now
Yes, sir.
with
Yes,
just
sir.
one of those players.
That's
But a
right.
lot of these coaches, they don't have any clue on how to go about trying to find those type players. And a lot of those players that do come from abroad, they usually go to the bigger schools because they
Exactly.
know the Kentuckys and Dukes from all over the world, whereas they don't know the UNC Wilmingtons of the world, you know, or maybe the South Floridas or the Central Floridas or somewhere like that, you know.
Right.
So that's again, it's an advantage for us, you know. So if I'm an AD, I'm thinking in terms of all of that, you know, what this guy can bring to the table. But a lot of them, as we know too, don't even know, they don't know that much about international basketball, let's say, or how the recruiting process goes when it comes to that stuff, you know. So again, you're dealing sometimes, you know, I understand now what they mean by saying sometimes you're overqualified, you know, because a lot of times you might be dealing with people who don't understand what you actually bring to the table. And they're not going to appreciate it as much, you know. So there you go.
And then they have, and then, you know, they're beholden to some other people. You know, they're beholden to some other people, whether it's a booster or whomever, you know.
That's right.
So it's just not as clear as it may appear. You know, I mean, everybody has a good looking resume and this kind of thing, but I think that what it really boils down to, B, is that it's all about relationships. It's all about who knows you, not who you know, but who know you, and building those relationships. Because, you know, there's a big thing now, you know, in the NFL, you know, that NFL just not hiring enough black coaches. And so the question is, you can't make an owner hire somebody that he doesn't want to hire. So yeah, you have the Rooney rule that basically says that you got to interview a minority coach. But all they're doing now, man, that's a token interview. That's not a real interview. It's a token interview.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They have no intention of hiring them. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can't make these people hire. You can't make them hire, you know, a black coach. But I think you have to develop a relationship with these people, because it's the same thing for us. Yeah. If I don't know you, I'm probably not going to hire you as my assistant coach. I'm probably not. Yeah. Same as the AD. Yeah. If I don't know you as an AD or a friend of mine know you, I'm probably not going to hire you as my coach. Yeah. You know?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And I totally understand that, because I always say, you know, when people get mad about, well, this black coach didn't get hired, I'm saying, well, we got to be in more power play positions. We got to own more, you know. We got to take ownership, control. And therefore, then when we're in those positions, now we can hire people that look like us, maybe more, you know. Until we're in that position, it's going to still continue to be like it is now, you know. Like I just saw 3 NFL coaches get hired, I think, in the last 24 hours. And none of them are Eric Bieniemy, the assistant coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, you know. And they say he's the best offensive coordinator. And, you know, they won the Super Bowl last year. I don't get it. But I understand it, because like you just said, you know, if you're the owner of a store or company or team or whatever, you get to hire who you want to. Whether they black, brown, look like you, look like someone else, it's your product, you get to do that. You know, and until we're in more positions like that, it's going to continue to be the same probably. You know?
And meanwhile, we got guys like Sam Vincent, who's over here with Bahrain national team, you know, who did get, you know, did have a cup of coffee. Michael Jordan, MJ did hire him. The coach of Charlotte for a minute there, so he did get opportunity. But you know what happens, man. You get that one opportunity. If you don't do well, nobody wants to hire you. I mean, you tell me. How does a guy like Tyronn Lue, who wins a world championship, but then he doesn't get hired, you know, following the year that Cleveland let him go? He should have been hired right away. The man won a world championship. You know.
Coach E, I'm looking right now for someone. There's a documentary I want to do so bad on this coaching carousel, and I just got to find somebody that'll help me put it together, you know, because I can show you, and I know you know too, countless examples of them getting hired over this person, and this person is more qualified, but it's a little bit darker shade. That's all, you know, just like you said with Tyronn Lue. The Lakers were going to hire him, you remember, a few years ago, but they were going to make him, I think he had to sign for 3 years or something, less years and less money. and had just won a world championship with Cleveland. You
Exactly.
just saw that. But then you go out and hire Frank Vogel, who had gotten fired by Indiana and Orlando and has never won anything. You know, explain that one to me. I don't get that. Unless Tyronn Lue went in there and was asking for the world, there's no way his qualifications didn't meet what they were.
Right.
Luke Walton was, with Golden State as an assistant. I could have been with Golden State and looked good with that roster they had with KD and all those guys. As soon as Luke goes to LA, you find out if he can really coach or not. Nah, not really. But then as soon as he gets fired, guess what? He gets hired by Sacramento. Take
exactly.
Mark Jackson to E. That's it, exactly. Yep, Mark Jackson went to Golden State. Nobody thought twice about Golden State back in the early 2010s and so forth. So he builds him into a winner on the brink of winning. He gets fired. Steve Kerr comes in, gets all the credit. Haven't heard from Mark Jackson except for announcing the game since then. You know what I mean? So those are just some examples right there. Just some examples in basketball. Much less, there's more examples in college basketball, football, and pro football, and even in managers in baseball, where we, again, we're always on the short end of the hiring ladder.
Right.
When it comes to getting hired like that. It's amazing.
And I'll tell you something that a lot of people don't know because they're not in the business. But, I think, I forget what year it was, but that was maybe in the year when I had just taken I had just accepted the job to be the national coach of Bahrain. And so before I went over, I decided, to go around the different colleges and kind of watch and see what guys were doing, this kind of thing. And man, the thing that I noticed is that almost every place I went, I won't say the name of the universities, because most of those coaches are not there anyway, but almost every place that I went, and they had a black guy on the staff, that black guy had no on-floor coaching responsibilities. All he was doing was two things, or one of two things, recruiting and babysitting. That's what it was. So what happens is when he finally does become fortunate to get a head coaching job, he gets a losing program. And then because he doesn't have the real technical skills to run a program as a head coach, he loses.
Right.
He gets his brains beat out, and then he goes, well, see, this guy can't coach.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get another chance to be a head coach.
That's right. And if
It's
he
such a
does,
slippery
he's
slope,
got to
man.
go down to yeah. And if he does get another job at that point, he's probably got to go down to like Division III something, NAIA something to start way down there again.
Right.
You hit the nail on the head.
Or he has to go to HBCU, and the HBCU
That's
hires
right.
him because he come from a big PWI, but not understanding he's not going to win.
Yep.
Number one,
That's right. Yep.
he doesn't know how to coach without resources. That's one thing, and he has no true coaching experience. Great recruiter, but it's easy to recruit when you recruit for Kentucky or you recruiting for a Power 5 school. It's easy.
Exactly. Yep.
It's like I make the argument that the true best coaches to me are in HBCUs, bro. That's my argument. I've coached on both. I coached HBCUs and PWIs. To me, the true coaches are HBCUs because they coach with the least amount of resources, and they're working with 1-star and 2-star players.
Yep.
So,
that's it. And that's why if you do get an HBCU job, for example, and you make the tournament, you almost every time have to get out and go on to something bigger and better after that, because the chances of you getting another prime recruit to help you to continue to win is going to be slim to none. And then, like you said, too, your resources to recruit or your resources for your facilities are limited. So it's going to be tough to get, continue the winning program there because players are not going to want to go there, you know? I was hoping that with everything that happened with the BLM movement last summer, and you did see the one top recruit go to, I think it was signed with Howard.
Yeah, with Howard.
I thought it was going to be a trend. Yep, I was hoping that it would become more of a trend, where black players would be like, hey, you know what, man? Let me go play. Instead of playing at Kentucky or North Carolina, let me go play at the HBCU to help get them on the map, to help bring them notoriety, to help bring them, more funds to their program. Because if you're that good, you're gonna go to the NBA from there, as you would at Carolina, or if you would went over to if you would have went overseas. If you're a prime 5-star recruit coming out of high school, you can choose, or the G League. You can choose any method you want to for that 1 year and then go to the NBA. It doesn't really matter, So I was hoping that more guys would do it, but they're still not doing it as much as I thought they would do it, to be honest with you.
Well, because you know how the AAU works. The AAU is controlling everything through the shoe companies, where the shoe companies are controlling everything through the AAU teams. So at the end of the day, those kids are going to go wherever the shoe company and the AAU people, their handlers, tell them to go. So it's very similar. You're going to get a guy who just goes against all of that. Like I guess this guy Thor, I guess they Thor Maker, one of those guys did that. I mean, so that's, to me, that's the big difference, man. But let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
Do you know how many head coaches that have coached at a HBCU who have gone on to be head coaches at a PWI?
Who went HBC? Yeah, who went HBCU first?
Yeah, they started at HBCU, and then they had success, and then they were hired by a PWI as a head coach, not an assistant, but as a head coach.
Right. Man. There's probably none, but I'm gonna try to think of somebody. Let me see. Is there any? Man, you see a lot going the other way, where they went Power 5 conference or whatever, big time D1, and then went to HBCUs. You see it going that way a lot. Wow. Let me see. I can't think of anybody.
So you struggling? You struggling right now, bro? You struggling? You struggling to find an answer?
That's what I'm saying. Right. It might be a couple of them, but I certainly can't think of them.
Off the top of my head, there's about 5 in the last 30, 40 years since HBCU's been playing Division I basketball. About 5. The first one was John Chaney. John Chaney was the first one.
Yeah. That's right.
He went from Chaney State to Temple.
That's right.
So you had John Chaney. You had your homeboy from that was at Fayetteville State. He had the 2 sons.
Capel. Yeah.
Capel went to Old Dominion. You had this brother a few years ago that left from Mississippi Valley and went to Eastern Kentucky. And there's about 2 more. I used to know them off the top of my head. But my point being, HBCU's been playing Division I since like 83 or somewhere from there. So 81, somewhere from there. It's about 5, guys. It's about 5, man. That's it. So the value is what I'm getting at. The PWIs don't see HBCU coaches as having any value.
Oh, no question.
They get no credibility, although they work with the least of resources and the least talented players. Let's be real, and the least talented players.
That's right. And if any of those Tom Izzos of the world or John Calipari's of the world was to go to a HBCU school,
you'll find out how good they can coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and had the same resources, they would not be as successful either. Now they may be able to go now only because of their name, because a kid will say, "Oh, that's Tom Izzo, who used to be at Michigan State. I know he can coach, so let me go with him to North Carolina A&T." But had they not been at a big school, big time name, and just had to work with what you might have worked with at FAMU or other schools or certain other coaches at certain other HBCUs, they would have had the same success rate. The very same. And if you look at it, like a guy like John Calipari, for example, with all that talent he's had, even just in the last 10 years, and has only won 1 championship.
Exactly.
Explain that to me.
But folks are still sending the kids there. They're still sending them there.
That's right, because they know they're going to go to the NBA if nothing else.
Exactly.
And I'll be honest with you, E, I don't even know if a lot of kids even care about winning as they do so much as far as going pro.
preparing to
That's
be a
it.
pro.
Exactly. That's what it is, you know. And Calipari is lucky because he's able to stay at Kentucky year after year, win, lose, or draw. It'll be interesting to see what happens to him this year because they're struggling. But he doesn't go to the Final Four every year. It's not like he goes every year, you know.
Right.
And with all that talent being said that he's had, man, over the last 10 years, you know, and has come up short time after time after time. Had that been any of us, ain't no way we would have been there, still been there.
No way.
No way. Not with
No
that
way.
talent.
No way.
Look at what happened to Kevin Otley at UConn. And he wins a chip and still, you know. So that's why I was saying, man, you know, it's so many countless examples of how unfair it is for us in this coaching business.
Yeah.
And that's probably what has steered me away from doing it here, because I know how it is. Just like you said, it's really about who you know,
right,
and who knows you, and who feels comfortable with you as well. You know, because not a lot of big time programs want us as their face of their program. You know,
right.
And so that's what it is. That's where we are today. You know.
And like you say, a lot of coaches are not going to bring you on as an associate head coach or assistant coach because of the intimidation factor.
Absolutely. And look, I'll be honest with you. If I was 32 years old coaching at a D1 school, I probably wouldn't want to bring you over either and be in my huddle every night and in my office every day, because I know that you know your stuff. And if I don't stay on point, you're going to point it out to me, or you're going to point it out to someone else who then may put me on a short leash for my job, you know?
Right.
So, hey, I understand. Yeah, I understand it. We all want our job security, want to be protected. But I've always felt like I'm confident enough in my ability to be able to have the best people around me to help me to win, because I know if I win, I'll be able to stay there. And if I don't stay there, I can go someplace else and always have a job, you know?
Right.
And that goes back to the point where you initially asked me where, you know, a lot of black coaches are assistants at D1 schools, but they don't get a chance to actually do coaching. They recruit more so than anything else. Well, I know I always try to empower my assistant coaches. I always try to give them time in every practice to show me what they can do coaching wise. I want them to become better coaches with me.
Exactly.
So I don't try to dominate the practice with everything. I'll sit down and have meetings with them and say, hey, okay, here's 30 minutes. You guys do what you want to do with the guards or the bigs, or in scrimmage situations. I might take one team and they take a team, you know, because I want them to get that work like that.
Right.
You know, I'm not that coach where I got to dominate everything. Now, if you're not doing it right, of course, I'm going to step in. But if you're doing a pretty good job, I want you to continue. Yeah. Because it also helps me, you know. Exactly. I can now just focus on certain things instead of having to focus on everything, you know. So, but that's just me. Not everybody's that same way.
Well, you know, I was very fortunate. I have to say, you know, I have to give a shout out, you know, to Coach Mike Bernard. You know Mike Bernard. You know, second or third black coach to win a national championship on the Division II level at North Carolina Central. But he hired me, and I didn't know him. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. But my agent knew him, and that's how I got the job. But the thing about Mike, which was really great, from day one, I went in there, man, thinking, you know, first day of practice, you go in there, you get on the sideline, you shut your mouth, just do what you're told to do, you know, and clap it up, let's go, guys, you know, that kind of thing. And Mike said, hey, man, what's up? I said, Coach, I'm just, you know, I don't want to overstep nobody. He said, bro, I ain't bring you here to be no power bearer.
Right. Yeah.
So from day one, man,
to all that. Yeah.
He let me coach, bro. He let me coach, man. And the thing is, by doing that, it empowered me. I was all in. I was all in, bro. Once he told me that, man, I was all in every day, all day. I gave him everything I had.
That's it.
But that helped me, I think, to become a better coach, you know. And but a lot of guys are not like Mike Bernard or the coaches that you've had are like yourself, you know, and like me. You know, I like to empower my guys as well. You know, this is your time, man. Let's go out there and coach them up.
And another thing to add to all that, E, is that as a human being, you're going to be more engaged if you got more to do during those 2 hours of practice or whatever.
Right.
You know, if you're just standing there every day watching the coach do what he does, knowing that you can't blow your whistle as an assistant coach, knowing that you can't really say anything, then you're just going to be there. Your mind's going to wander. It's going to be boring to you. So I'm not going to get the best from you.
Right.
But if I hold you accountable, meaning I know that during this drill, I want you to go down there and do something with the guards or the bigs or whoever it is, then you're going to be more engaged.
Right.
You're going to map out a plan on what you want to get done in those drills. It keeps you focused more the whole nine. So it's also playing into that mentality as well. Just keep, again, going back to just being a human being, giving them responsibility, holding them accountable. They'll be more engaged in what's going on at the practice. They'll get more out of it, which means then, it'll help you more as a coach,
Exactly.
So I'm looking at all those things when it comes to, whenever I have my staff. Now, I haven't been fortunate enough to have been able to have American coaches, assistant coaches.
Right.
The only one I've had was, Coach Eric over there with you. And we were thrown into the fire at that point, at that time. But I've never been able to bring over and put together my own staff. And I would love to do that one day, eventually. So I'm hoping that eventually I can do that, because I feel like I can help, I'm not only trying to coach players, but I'm also trying to help coaches to become better as well.
Right.
Yep, it is. So
yeah, I mean, we're at a different stage of our coaching career now, where it's really our legacy is really about not what we do, but what we do for others. That's the way I look at it. You and I have always, man, had that same kind of mindset. Right now you're actually an owner. You're owner of a pro basketball team now. So tell me what's happening with that. How's that working out for you?
Yeah, it's kind of, it's on pause a little bit, only because of the virus, because they haven't stated yet whether or not the league is going to start in November for sure, because nobody really knows. Nobody knows. NBA, no pro league really knows. All you can do is hope at this point. But I'm hoping with the vaccine coming that, things will return a little bit closer to normal this summer than they were last year. If it does that, then we'll go ahead and try to proceed and start in the fall. And I was telling
now your team is an ABA team, right?
Yeah, ABA team in Charlotte. And the reason I jumped into that, I know they got other minor leagues now, TBL, and of course they got the G League and all that. But I jumped into the ABA because the franchise fee was very low, and we were able to find a venue to play our games right uptown Charlotte, where it doesn't cost a lot of money. So I figured, okay, I don't have a lot of overhead that way. So now, if I do 4 or 5 tryout camps, at $100 a piece, getting 50 to 60 or 70 guys to try out in different locations, that'll help build our budget. So then I go into next season with a nice little budget, and it's not like we got to pay the players a lot of money. My selling point to them is, like I told you, like we discussed earlier, is that we use that as a platform for them to now try to use that to go overseas and make more money.
Right.
So it gives them a platform to play on, And then I also thought, well, especially with COVID-19 affecting a lot of people in their pocketbooks now, people are not going to want to pay or can't pay top dollar to go to NBA games and NFL games now. So come to our game for, $7, $7 an adult. We might even let the kids get in free just from the standpoint of, we just want everybody to come out there.
Right.
Make our money off the concessions, giving back a little bit is basically what it's about. We'll have local talent to perform, at the games. I talked to Roy Jones Jr., who's a good friend of mine. He's got a son. He's got a son that's been trying to play basketball for a while now. I said, Roy, count him in. He's going to be on our roster. Count him in automatically. As long as you want to come and sign autographs for us and take pictures at one of our games. And Roy would say, hey, man, no problem. I said, cool. So we're going to be doing all kind of gimmicks like that, because I told the other guys that I'm part owners with, I said, look, it's not really about basketball.
Right.
It's about the entertainment aspect.
Exactly.
Yeah, people are not coming to see these guys to play basketball per se, because if they really want to see great basketball, they can go watch a college game or they can watch the Hornets.
Right.
But come to our games because it's low cost. It's little Ray from such and such high school going to sing the national anthem that night or something. We might have a middle school cheerleading squad out there, so they're gonna bring their parents to come to. You see what I'm saying? So it's all kind of gimmicks like that, So it's not just basketball, man. It's entertainment for that ABA team. I'm not looking for great players to be there, because if they were that great, they wouldn't be playing there. Let's be honest.
Then you have, Roy. Speaking of Roy Jones, didn't he played a semi-pro with some team, didn't he?
Roy played with the Brevard Blue Ducks down there. He had a USBL team back in the day. Roy came and played. That's how I met Roy back in 2005. And Roy and I have been in touch ever since. I got a couple of his autographed gloves here. Roy is good people, man. We in touch. He emailed me, texted me the other day. Yes, indeed. That's right. He's from Florida, So using him, using a singer like Anthony Hamilton, who's from Charlotte, people like that in the community, celebrities and so forth.
Right.
That's who we're going to use to draw people out to the games.
Exactly.
And then once they come, because one thing I noticed with the G League, the successful G League teams, and you probably know this, they make it family friendly, where the game is going on and the adults might be watching the game, but the kids are running around over there in playland. They got all kind of games and stuff set up for the kids to be able to run. That's what I want to do with our ABA team.
Gotcha.
Let the parents come out and meet Roy, sign autographs, take pictures with him, sit down and watch the game for an hour and a half, but let the little kids have an area where they can just play and run around and do that for an hour and a half. Everybody's happy, and you came out, you getting in for $10, it costs a family of $5, $20 to get in.
Right.
It's $10 each for the parents, kids free, but yet they buying popcorn, candy, soda, stuff like that. I'm good. That's all it is, So I jumped into that because I was thinking with the pandemic and everything, people are gonna want low cost entertainment down the road,
right.
So the ABA, they've been sending out memos and stuff, and they're trying to set things up, and hopefully we'll be able to play in the fall. That's what I'm shooting for. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna try to expand. I am coach, man. I want to get Kenny Knapp, former head coach with the Sacramento Kings on, and also Sam Vince. We talked about Sam Vince to get him on. I talked to Lindsey Hunter, and all those guys are all in, bro. So I'm saying it's time for us to do something. It's time for us to do something, man, and stop asking somebody else to do something for us, and create for ourselves.
Absolutely, and I agree with you on that. And a friend of mine in Maryland told me I should have done this a couple of years ago, but it's something that you and Sam, can do because we've been international coaches now. We probably should get together, when things get better with COVID, of course, one summer, and do a coaches clinic where we get all these coaches together and let's just powwow and talk about what we're doing, what we see in the game, all kinds of situations, what we do in practice, how we warm up, this, that, the other. There's no right or wrong way. Everybody's different. Know? What you do in your practices might be different from what I do, but we're basically eventually coming back to, okay, we got to play defense, we got to rebound, and we got to move the ball on offense. Eventually it comes back to that. Those are three winning things that we know. So what I would like to do eventually is to do that. And my friend suggested, hey, B, why don't you you'll send out a notice to all the high school coaches, make it free for everybody. Let them come though, so that they'll see what we're doing. Because a lot of them, as you know, I know you get hit up all the time probably with guys wanting to play, wanting to coach overseas maybe. Right. How do you do that? I've had coaches ask me that, and we can talk to the high school coaches and everybody that wants to come, let them come, man, and powwow. It's just a learning thing, for everybody. So eventually I want to get with you, maybe Sam and a couple other coaches I know where we can do that, in the areas around where we're, just bringing coaches together. Right. And then of course we can talk about other things as well. It's a lot of layers to it. Yeah, and that's the reason why I put together I Am Coach, because it's not just about the coaching aspect. It's about talking about financial wellness, health wellness. I mean, already I've had a psychotherapist on the show already. I had another young lady who spoke about working abroad, living abroad, and working, in other countries. It just, I just put this together, man, because I thought there's so many of us out there, and right now, the most sought after speakers, motivational speakers,
are coaches. And so you have to ask that question, how is it that the coach, guy who's doing basketball, mainly basketball or football coach, how are those guys the most sought after speakers? We are the greatest motivators, the greatest developers, and the greatest team builders there is that walk the face of this earth, man. You know, and so I say, you know what? As a black man, we're the greatest athletes, right? But we don't get credit for this right here. We don't get credit for this, you know. So what better group to bring together than that's some guys, man, that's played the game on a high level, coached the game on a high level, right? And we're still in the game. We're still in the game, just to share, you know, not just the basketball side, but how we handling our money, how we handling finances, how we taking care of our health, because, you know, you're looking good. You know, we all now in our 50s, and you taking care of yourself. You eating properly. I'm sure you made some changes in your life. You're disciplining yourself. It's just some of the things that we can share, man. That,
That's right. Yep.
You know, that the folks are just not getting, you know, from people that look like us.
And that's important, because it's a lot of different layers to it. Just like you just touched on, you know. And I have a godson, E, that, you know, he wasn't a great athlete, but he walked on at Appalachian State, played basketball there for a year or two. But I said, godson, you know, don't focus on playing. Get into the administrative part of it, you know, because now what you're finding is, even if you play at a pro level, the average pro basketball career, especially NBA, is only going to be about 3 years. NFL, you see, is only a couple of years. Focus on the management part, whether it be coaching, front office stuff, you know, scouting, whatever, because those guys stay in those jobs, as you know, E, for 20, 30, 40 years, forever, until you die.
Exactly.
And too many of our kids are focusing on just playing all the time. So, you know, when I do this kids camp this summer, I'm going to have a classroom session for all of the kids to show them how important it is to obviously get your education, but to focus on not just playing, but doing other things as well, E. And I'm going to show them different examples of somebody like Jay Williams from, you know, who works with ESPN now, but, you know, who was a great player at Duke, got drafted first round, only played 1 year because he had the motorcycle accident.
Exactly.
You know? So examples of like that, because then what do you do if you can't play? You know, let them see that this is real, that this stuff can happen. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to play for, like LeBron, for 18 years, you know? Right. All that stuff is important, E, for not only players, but for coaches, to show them different aspects of the game. And like you say, finances, dealing with mental health these days is important. It's a whole new ball game that we didn't have to deal with probably 20 years ago when you got into coaching. All kind of aspects, man, because like you said, coaches are very important. They're motivators. They got to be counselors. They got to be father figures. They got to be disciplinarians. Right. They got to be good listeners. It's a lot that goes into it, you know, and it's a lot that we're dealing with these days. It's not just X's and O's. I wish it was, but it's not.
Exactly. And then, of course, for people like ourselves who are working abroad, is being away from your family. You know, it's not like, you know, in the NBA, you know, you take a road trip, you take a West Coast swing or East Coast swing, and, you know, you're back, and, you might be going for a week, little over a week. You know, bro, we go for 10 months, right. 8 to 10 months, you know. Yep. So it's totally different, you know, just changing the food, you know, who's cooking for you, you know, if your wife's not traveling, because most people who are married, you know, their wife have a good job back home, so she can't travel with you. So you by yourself now, you got to cook for yourself and do all these things for yourself. So it's a lot that goes into it. People even know about it.
Language barrier, the culture, all that.
And the money's not guaranteed. And the money's not guaranteed.
Yeah, you don't know. That's right. You know, again, your livelihood is on the line every game, especially for us. You know, it's not like we're local coaches there where they get to stay there for longer.
Exactly.
You know, black and brown coaches, it's not that many of us, number one. And then number two, when we go someplace, we got to have instant success or we're gone.
That's it.
Our leash is totally different from someone else's, man. So it's a lot that goes into it. And so with all the knowledge that we know and have acquired, the experiences, man, we got to pass it along to other people. That's for sure. I'm glad you're doing this platform, because this is a great idea.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate your time. You know, you give me more than 30 minutes, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I didn't mean to hog the spotlight, man. This is your spotlight, so I apologize for that. But
man. Hey, I'm poor, man. I ain't got no money to pay you, man. You know they cut my salary.
Nah, don't worry
COVID, brother.
No, don't worry about that. Eventually, we're gonna be able to work on the same staff together. So you owe me a favor, I owe you one. That's for sure.
No doubt,
Coach
man. Tell you what,
good luck to y'all. I will, man, and good luck next game over there. Tell brother Rashid I said hello to.
All right, my man.
Yep.
I appreciate you.
Okay, take it easy.
All right, brother.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Keep it real.